Ali modified his training. He went easier on sparring. He avoided taking body shots in practice. But he couldn't avoid them completely. If he changed his style too dramatically, people would notice and start asking questions. Angelo Dundee, Ali's legendary trainer, noticed something was wrong. Ali was moving differently, protecting his left side more than usual. "You okay?" Dundee asked. "I'm fine," Ali lied. "Just being careful. Frazier hits hard." Dundee didn't push it, but he suspected something was off. On September 27th, the Ali entourage flew to Manila. The heat was brutal, over 100 degrees in the non-air-conditioned Philippine Coliseum. This meant Ali would need to breathe deeper, putting more pressure on his fractured ribs. The night before the fight, Pacheco made one final plea. "It's not too late. You can still pull out." Ali shook his head. "Tomorrow, I'm getting in that ring, and nobody's ever going to know about these ribs." October 1st, 1975, Fight Day. Ali's corner spent 45 minutes before the fight taping his ribs, layer after layer, wrapping his entire torso, trying to create enough support to protect the fractured bones. To outsiders, it looked like standard preparation, but Pacheco knew they were basically putting a cast on Ali and hoping it would hold together long enough for him to survive 14 rounds with one of the hardest punchers in heavyweight history. When Ali walked to the ring, he looked confident. He danced, he smiled, he pointed at Frazier, but underneath his robe, under the tape, 3 ribs were cracked and ready to break completely. The opening bell rang, and for the first few rounds, Ali's strategy worked. He moved, stayed on the outside, used his jab. Frazier kept coming forward, throwing bombs, but Ali avoided most of them. In Ali's corner between rounds, Pacheco kept checking the ribs, pressing gently to see if anything had shifted. So far, they were holding. But then Frazier started finding his range. In round 5, Frazier landed a solid left hook to Ali's body. Ali's entire body bent to the side. He grabbed his ribs instinctively and clinched, holding on to Frazier to keep from doubling over. At ringside, commentators noted it was a good body shot, but they had no idea what it really did. That punch had hit directly on one of the fractured ribs. Ali felt it grinding, felt the sharp pain shooting through his entire left side. For a moment, Ali thought the rib had broken completely. He thought about Pacheco's warnings about punctured lungs, but he was still breathing, he was still standing, so he kept fighting. Round 6, round 7, Frazier kept targeting Ali's body, left hook after left hook, each one landing on the damaged ribs. Ali's face contorted with pain after every shot. He was breathing hard, not just from exertion, but because every breath hurt. The fractured ribs were pressing against his muscles, his organs, everything. In round 7, Frazier landed what may have been the hardest body shot of the entire fight, a devastating left hook that caught Ali directly on the fractured ribs. The entire Philippine Coliseum gasped. Ali bent sideways, his mouth open, his eyes squeezed shut in agony. He grabbed his side and clinched desperately, holding on to Frazier like a drowning man holding driftwood. In Ali's corner, Pacheco saw Ali's reaction and knew exactly what had happened. That punch had hit the fractures. Pacheco later said he thought about stopping the fight right then. He thought about telling the referee that Ali was injured, that it wasn't safe to continue. But he also knew Ali would never forgive him.
"No," Ali said. "I made a mistake letting fear into my heart for even a moment. But that's over." Ali stepped closer to Vincent, closing the space between them. What happened next was not violent, it was not threatening, it was something far more powerful. "Let me tell you something," Ali continued. "You've spent your life building an empire on fear. You think fear makes you powerful. You think fear makes you strong. But fear is the weakest thing a man can live with, and I can see it in your eyes. You know that. You know that somewhere deep inside you, because you live every single day looking over your shoulder. Vincent's jaw tightened. No one spoke to him this way. No one challenged him in such a way. "I'm not going to throw this fight," Ali said simply. "Not for you, not for anyone. Because the moment I do, I stop being a man. And I'd rather die as a man than live as a slave to fear." The unexpected turn. Something shifted in Vincent's expression. For the first time since entering that dressing room, the mob boss saw something in Muhammad Ali that he had never seen before. Something that couldn't be threatened, couldn't be intimidated, and couldn't be broken. Vincent stared at the boxer for a long moment. His hand moved toward his jacket, and for an instant it seemed like violence might be the response. But then, slowly, his hand dropped back to his side. "You know what?" Vincent said quietly. "I believe you." He turned away from Ali and began walking back down the hallway. "Wait," Ali called after him. Vincent paused, but didn't turn around. "The photograph," Ali said, "the one of my daughter, that wasn't strength, that was fear. And I'm telling you right now, if anything happens to my family, I'll spend the rest of my life finding you. And when I do, I'm going to show you what real strength looks like." For the first time in decades, Vincent Moretti felt something he hadn't felt in years. Not fear. Vincent had learned to control fear long ago. But something else, something like respect, and perhaps something like shame. The fight. 30 minutes later, Muhammad Ali walked into the Astrodome arena. The crowd erupted in deafening applause. Ali moved with the confidence and grace that had made him the most famous athlete in the world. The fight with Joe Frazier was brutal. Both men gave everything they had. Ali was faster, more strategic, more dominant. Round after round, he controlled the fight with his superior footwork and speed. But in the 15th round, exhaustion caught up with both fighters. Ali's dominance in the early rounds had taken a toll, and Frazier fought back with the kind of heart that had made him a champion. When the decision was announced, Joe Frazier's hand was raised in victory. The crowd groaned in disappointment. Many thought Ali had won the fight. But Ali didn't protest. He climbed out of the ring with his head held high. He had fought with integrity. He had fought with pride. And no one, not the judges, not the mob, not the world, could take that away from him. The transformation. What no one knew was that Vincent Moretti was in the crowd that night. He watched the fight from a private box, and he watched Muhammad Ali fight like a man who had nothing to lose, because he had already found everything that mattered. After the fight, as Muhammad Ali was being escorted from the arena by his security team, he saw Vincent waiting for him at the exit. The mob boss was alone, with no men flanking him. His posture was different. His expression was different. "You fought like a champion," Vincent said simply. "I always do," Ali replied. When Ali was told about Pacheco revealing the secret, he didn't deny it. By then, his speech was too impaired for him to give detailed interviews, but those close to him said he simply nodded. The truth was out. Finally. The revelation changed how people understood the fight. It wasn't just brutal. It was superhuman endurance. Every body shot Ali took was on fractured ribs for 14 rounds in 100-degree heat. But it also raised uncomfortable questions. Should the fight have happened? Should Pacheco have refused? Should the corner have stopped it? Pacheco struggled with these questions for the rest of his life. "I should have told someone," he said later, "but Ali would have never forgiven me, and he would have just found another doctor." The Thrilla in Manila was Ali's last great victory. He'd fight a few more times, but he was never the same after Manila. Some doctors later suggested that the accumulated damage from fights like Manila, especially fighting with injuries that should have sidelined him, may have contributed to the early onset of his Parkinson's disease. Ali's pride, his refusal to back down, his determination to beat Frazier no matter the cost, these were the qualities that made him great. But they were also the qualities that destroyed him. He fought Manila with 3 fractured ribs because he couldn't imagine doing anything else. Because backing down, admitting weakness, canceling the fight, these weren't options for Muhammad Ali. He was the greatest, and the greatest doesn't quit because of broken bones. But here's what we learned 22 years later, when the truth finally came out. Courage isn't always heroic. Sometimes courage is just stubbornness wearing a different mask. Sometimes refusing to quit isn't bravery, it's pride refusing to acknowledge reality. And sometimes the greatest fighter in the world is actually fighting his biggest battle against himself. Muhammad Ali won the Thrilla in Manila. He beat Joe Frazier. He proved he was still the greatest. But at what cost? 3 fractured ribs that could have killed him, 14 rounds of unnecessary torture, and decades of accumulated damage that his body would never recover from. When people watch the Thrilla in Manila now, knowing what we know, every body shot lands differently. Every time Ali winces, every time he grabs his side, every time he clinches and holds on, we know it's not just exhaustion. It's broken bones grinding together. It's a man fighting through pain that shouldn't be fightable. And the question we're left with is simple but profound. Was it worth it? Ali thought so. He never regretted it, never publicly admitted it was a mistake. But watching him in his later years, his body broken, his voice silenced, his hands trembling, it's hard not to wonder if the price of glory was just too high. If this story about the hidden cost of greatness moved you, make sure to subscribe and hit that thumbs up button. Share this with someone who needs to understand that sometimes the battles we can't see are the ones that matter most. Have you ever pushed through something you shouldn't have just to prove a point? Let us know in the comments and ring that notification bell for more untold stories about what champions sacrifice when no one's watching.